folks, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Natasha and I do book things here. I have not been on this channel in a hot ass minute. I'm just gonna get that out of the way. I don't want to get too into sort of what's going on. I think collectively as the world we know what's going on, but for me it's been hard to read, hard to get myself on camera, hard to feel motivated to do it, hard to, I guess, want to put on a positive face and also record. So, you know, just general anxiety, depression mixed with pandemic hasn't really lended itself to me creating content. That is sort of my apology, I guess, but like also it's a weird time, so really. Let's get into things that have changed, shall we? Because I haven't been here in like a couple months. Yeah, I shaved my head. It's probably the #1 thing that has changed. This is actually the second time that I've shaved it down to this length. I dyed it green, I looked like a tennis ball for a little while, and then it grew out for a couple weeks, and this is the second time that I am buzzing it. I just buzzed it yesterday. So, for those of you who are curious, this is a 1/2 inch length, if you guys are curious. I know I had some questions about that before. Also, any videos sort of going forward until, I guess, I don't know, mental health gets a little better or the world gets better are going to be very chill. I don't feel the need, not like I ever did before, but I don't feel the need to put on a persona. I don't feel the need to necessarily be 100% happy and necessarily bring you guys anything that isn't my true self right now. And my true self right now is a bundle of nerves, anxiety, quiet times, not, I don't know, not 100% of myself that I would normally put on camera, let's just say that. So you're kind of gonna get what you're gonna get. I hope that's okay with you. I'm here. Another thing, if you guys are curious about my earrings, and any earrings that I'll be wearing on camera going forth, I'm making my own earrings. I made these. There is a possibility in the future, depending, again, how quarantine goes, that I might sell earrings in the future, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I made these egg earrings and I think they're really cool. And I've been making a ton of them. Not eggs, but other styles. So maybe someday in the future, if you guys are interested, I might be sharing a link where you guys can get them. But that is a distant 2020 thing. If 2020 at all, but anyway. So today I figured, just sort of as a return to YouTube, because I don't know how to film anymore, I would just talk about the 4 books that I've read in the last 3 months. March, April, mid-May, yeah, like 3 months. I've read 4 books. Now, you're probably wondering, like, what did I do with my time? My brain in the last couple months has been sort of all haywire. So it's been, I can spend 5 minutes on TikTok, I spend 10 minutes on Twitter, I go to Instagram for a bit, then I go back to TikTok, then it's just I can't focus on anything. I read the news and then I panic and then I cry and then I talk to Jeff and then, you know, it's been interesting. So something like books, which has been sort of my quiet space on my day-to-day life when it sort of gets hectic, it's too hectic for me to even do that right now, and I think a lot of people can relate. My brain is just not allowing itself to focus on anything for really too much of an extended time. However, I'm getting a little bit better. I'm sort of getting back into a little bit of a routine that's allowing me to read something and allowing me to consume books differently. So yeah, that's kind of been that's kind of been what's going on. I've played 350 hours of Animal Crossing. That game, I'm gonna get emotional. I don't want to make this an Animal Crossing video because I'm sure there will be many more about Animal Crossing in the future. It's a huge part of my life right now. It's all I've been spending my time doing. It's all I think about. I'm in multiple group chats from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. I played 350 hours of it in, what, 2 months, so it's safe to say that that's where my interest has been. Just recently though, I've gotten to the point where I can listen to audiobooks and play, so that's helping me get through some books. I have some books in the works right now for audiobooks, but these are the 4 that I have, I've read in the last 3 months, which is insane, but you know, it's kind of an ebb and flow. Like, not everything is gonna go perfectly. I'm not gonna read 28 books in a month. You know, some people are. Some people are, I don't want to say flourishing, but some people are really delving deep into their reading habits in quarantine. That's fantastic, but my brain is like, no. So anyway, the first book that I finished back in March, and I don't want to say is the beginning of my, like, rut in reading. I'm filming.
Oh.
So.
Hi, filming.
Go away. I don't want to say it's the beginning of my rut when filming, but it's definitely not a positive book. Let me say that. I finished and read A Little Life by Hanya Yanahara. I think I don't know how to pronounce that. Yeah. Thank God I did read this as part of a buddy read, and I was warned by multiple people before getting into this book that it's one of the hardest books they've ever read, that you will bawl your eyes out. Now, I don't know if this made me feel like a friggin' robot or what, but I didn't cry at all reading this. I will just go ahead and say there's trigger warnings for, like, pretty much everything, and I hate that that sort of is like a blanket statement about this book. But please just go to Goodreads or something and find a trigger warning list, because it's fucking everything. Everything is covered in this, and it's horrible. I've heard this book described, I'll tell you what it's about. It follows the lives of 4 male friends, and 4 or 5? Oh god, I forget. And it follows them through their 20s into their 50s, and just sort of a life story. And there's no real plot other than just following their lives. So it's more of like a slow burn, character driven book. However, certain things that happen to these characters is relentless. It's horrible, things that they do to themselves. Massive warning. And I will just go ahead and say it because it's one of my triggers. Massive, huge warning for self-harm. Like, bad. We're talking, like, I thought it would be, okay, a couple instances. No, it's nearly on every page for the entire 800-page book. And I'll be honest, at times it's too graphic for me. Luckily, like, I was fine, okay, reading it, but I knew I was getting into that. And I had friends reach out and tell me, hey, stuff starts to get bad on this page, stuff starts to get bad on this page, are you okay while reading this? Which was really helpful for me. But yeah, this is not fun. This is not a fun book. No one picks this book up and goes, woo, having a great time. It's rough, it's hard, but in my mind, I didn't cry because I think I'm overstimulated by the things, the horrific things in life, I guess. I'm aware that bad things happen to good people. I'm aware that bad things continue to happen to people who have had so many bad things happen to them. I'm just aware of that, and so nothing in this was overly shocking to me. Is it upsetting? Yes, but it wasn't so soul-crushing for me that I cried. It was just like, by the end, I just wanted it to be over. For the characters, in whatever sense that meant, and for the book to be over as well. I mean, would I be interested in reading books similar to this? Yes, in like the character development and sort of the slow burn throughout a whole life. I like reading stuff like that, but hopefully the next one that I read that's similar is more positive. a little bit more positive, because that is a rough book to read. The next one that I spent like a month reading for no reason, because I enjoyed reading it, it's just I could not focus long enough to read it. That is Kill Creek by Scott Thomas. I finally allowed myself to just read a horror book, not in October. I was like, why am I stopping myself from reading these books that I enjoy, just based on time of year? So I finally got it. This is really fun. It lost me a little bit towards the end. So basically what this book is about, it follows 4 different horror authors as they are convinced by this other person to spend Halloween night in this haunted house that is known for being haunted and having spiritual experiences there and stuff like that. And it's funny because even as you're reading it, you can sort of make parallels between the horror authors that are you know, made up in this book and horror authors in real life. So I feel like it's almost like a Grady Hendrix, a Karen Slaughter, a Stephen King, and like maybe somebody else that does like campy horror or something all put together in this book. Like that's very much what it read like to me. Like I found myself picturing certain people. But they all come together and they all have very interesting experiences, and it talks about like authors' lives and their work and stuff like that. I loved it. It was really fun. But then the end came and then it sort of, I don't know. For me, I like books that are gonna start paranormal and continue that way. It's when it starts sort of realistic and becomes that supernatural switch at the end, it sort of loses me. But it was really fun. And I think if you want like a fun book with a little bit of horror spookiness in it, not too scary necessarily, it's more like suspenseful, this is a good one. And I just really like the whole 4 authors coming together for a haunted house. I think that's fantastic. That was an enjoyful? Am I okay? I enjoyed that book. Okay, so the next up is one that I've been reading this, I think, since February, like dead ass since February. I've read this book for so long. That is Stephen King, the second book in the Dark Tower series, The Drawing of the Three. And this is his prolonged, like long, extended fantasy series, and I'll just say this, it's not my favorite. I like this book a hell of a lot better than I liked the first one. It still sort of continues on that one character's path, and it introduces some really fun characters and sort of how the world is and like where Roland comes from and how he's able to sort of go through doors into different times and stuff. So I mean, that's fun, and I liked it. And it's funny because at some point I finished this book and I trying to explain it to Jeff, and all he got from it was the giant lobster, what are they called? Lobstrosities. And he thought that was absolutely hilarious. So, but this is a lot more delightful. However, I must say again, at least for the audiobook, it was really cringy at some point. It follows a couple like male characters, and the male audiobook narrator does them a good, well, does, you know, but then he tries to do an angry black woman at some point, and it sounds so off in the audiobook. It's almost like a cringy insulting, that mixed with you know, at the time and still racist language is like really off-putting, especially when you can picture this, I'm trying to play Animal Crossing and relax and slow my brain down for a second, and then you got this just like abrasive writing and abrasive audiobook narrator. It was a little rough to listen to. So like not my favorite book. I gave it I think a 3 because it was, you know, pretty enjoyable, but Stephen King's fantasy stuff is hard for me. To put in perspective, this book is what? I don't know, like 450 pages. It took me like 2 months to finish this in audiobook, and I'm like halfway through his next book in my list in like 3 days, just because it's not fantasy based and the audiobook is much better. All in all, the books that I've read the last little while, none of them have been great. They've all been pretty average. Nothing has been like, ooh, new favorite book. But I think that has in part due with just my mental state right now. Like I just don't feel like investing much thought into anything. So maybe that's me, maybe it's just the books I'm reading, I don't know. Is a sort of, I want to say dystopian? How do I describe this? Not dystopian. Future book? I don't know. This is called Quality Land, and this is by Mark U. Kling. I don't know. Mark Kling, that guy. And this is actually translated. So this, it says international bestseller. This was, I think, a big book in Germany. And so it has been translated, and some of the translation seems a little rough, or maybe some jokes that are funny in Germany in their culture are just not clicking in this. This book is fun though, and I like the idea of it, and oddly enough, like I personally don't want to read anything that has to do with an epidemic, pandemic, sickness, anything like that right now. I think that would just spiral me into a fucking hole. This has to do with a future where all of your needs are immediately delivered to your house basically by an Amazon-like service, but they automatically know what you need in your life. And so our main character gets something delivered that he doesn't think he needs, and he goes through this process of trying to return it, which ends up in sort of like a big political thing. And that's sort of where it lost me. I like the idea of a future world and seeing what different authors do with like a future technology and a future world. I like that, but then it lost me by getting too political, and the last thing I want to read about right now is more politics. So I guess that's sort of my fault, but this is interesting. So like it's called Quality Land. It's like best country on earth. They sort of rank people based on their qualities. So you're ranked between 0 and 100. The people who are at like 80 or 90 get certain benefits. It's almost like, oh, the police knock at their door, but they see that he's a 90, so it doesn't matter. Like that's sort of interesting. There's a lot of interesting parallels between money and power and how they're rating. It's you know, it mimics real world, but it's like a future setting. I like those kind of books, but like I said, it got too politicky. There's a lot of cultural references in this, and there's so many references to Hitler and Nazis in this that I was like, okay. And so yeah, that was a little bit of a turnoff as well. But overall, I think I gave it like a 2.5 just because it's an average book. I had a decent time reading it. I like the idea of it. The synopsis was interesting, but the actual, I guess, full novel really didn't do what I wanted it to do for me. Those are the 4 books that I've read. And I think my next video, I'm going to pick out 10 books, my shortest books, because as of today, when I checked like 20 minutes ago, I am now 10 books behind my Goodreads goal, and I want to, like, I don't know, try to get my Goodreads goal done this year. So I need to pick my ass up and start reading some shorter things and try to get that done now that I'm slightly more motivated to read. So if you guys have any suggestions for short books that you know I already have, if you even remember my channel, hi, hello, let me know. But until then, I am just kicking. I hope everyone is doing good and staying safe, and just, you know, do what you can do. It's okay. Whatever you're doing is fine. You're doing okay. And yeah, hopefully you guys like this video. I don't know how much I'm even gonna edit this. And yeah, until my next one, I will talk to you soon. Bye.